Hey guys, the Franchise Goat here, and welcome to Madden 23. Today we're going to be starting up our Madden 23 franchise mode, and I thought a lot about what team I wanted to use for this. I thought a little bit about using my favorite team, which is the Patriots, specifically because they're in kind of an interesting spot right now. Quarterback situation has become a bit of an issue this season, but I decided I wanted to go with a team with a little bit more of a challenge, maybe. And so I decided on the Washington Commanders, the brand new named Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington football team. And there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to pick this Washington team. The main reason is I feel like they have a good backbone in terms of they have arguably one of the best defensive lines in football, and their defense as a whole is not too bad, but the linebacker and the secondaries, the linebackers and the secondary need to get better. The other thing with this Washington team is we can really build an offense to whatever we want. Terry McLaurin is obviously a great player, and he is going to be pretty much all that we have offensively. We do have Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke at quarterback, but obviously that will be a position we look to improve in the future. So in this first episode, we're just kind of going to go over the roster and go over a couple things that I want to do. We might sign a few guys to compete for jobs in the preseason, but yeah, this should be a fairly short intro episode. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so we are in. Let's take a look at our roster. I got a number of interesting storylines on this roster. We'll start on offense. Quarterback position is obviously very weak. We have Carson Wentz, who the team brought in the offseason, obviously former number 2 overall pick, who did not really work out with the Eagles and then with the Colts. He's not a terrible quarterback, but he's certainly nothing special. Someone we'll probably look to move on from in short time. We also have Taylor Heineke as the backup. He's a little bit younger. Actually, he's the same age. I didn't realize he wasn't. He's got less experience to him, but he is actually the same age as Wentz, which doesn't help with development. Neither of them will get really any better. They're only going to get worse. We do have Sam Howell, who I believe is a rookie out of North Carolina. Guy who we could give a little bit of a chance to, but rookie, normal development. He does have high throw power, but nothing else is great. Someone who we could think about at some point, but as of right now doesn't factor into the plans. At running back, we're actually not terrible. We have Antonio Gibson, who is 24. He should get better. He's not a bad player, 80 overall. He's got star development, so again, should get pretty decent. The problem after that, J.D. McKissick, I believe, is a little bit older. He's 29, so he's going to regress. He's not much. I like Brian Robinson, who is the third running back listed here. He's actually played more snaps, I believe, than McKissick in the NFL. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, rookie out of Alabama. Obviously a great story with all of he ended up getting shot in a home robbery, I think, that went wrong, but he's back on the field, and it's great to see in real life that he's back and healthy and playing fairly well. But yeah, he's a guy who I will definitely want to get involved in the offense, along with Antonio Gibson, who obviously is going to be our big running back who will try and grow and develop. But running back, obviously, a position we could look to improve on. Wide receiver, probably the best part of this team. Terry McLaurin obviously is incredible. He's 25, superstar X factor. Just a really, really good all-around player. I really like Terry McLaurin, not just in the game, but in real life. I think he's really good, and if the Commanders could just get him a good quarterback, you'd be looking at a top 5 receiver in all of football. That's just my opinion. But really like Terry McLaurin. Obviously going to try my best to keep him around and build around him at the wide receiver core. Outside of McLaurin, though, we don't have a whole ton. Curtis Samuel, he's getting a little bit older. He's been in the league for 5 years, so he feels like he should be older than 26, but he's not. But only normal development. He's nothing overly special. He could be a decent third option, but nothing much at the 2. Jahan Dotson I like. Rookie out of Penn State. He's got hidden development. I would guess that it's probably star. But I like John Dotson. I'm probably going to try and play him as the number 2 receiver to begin the season. So, decent there. Could develop into something. Diami Brown is not bad either. He's 22 in his second year in the league. Does have star development. So we have a bunch of okay wide receivers, and then Terry McLaurin. But again, somewhere where we could look to get better. It's probably our biggest strength offensively is the wide receiver position, because I think McLaurin and Dotson can become that 1-2 punch in the future. Curtis Samuel would be a decent number 3 to stay at, but I don't know if we'll make that decision or if we might try and get another very good wide receiver, whether that be in the draft, free agency, whatever. All right, moving on. Tight end is a place where the Commanders are a little bit weak. We do have Logan Thomas, who's rated pretty well in this game. He's a 78 overall with star development. Problem is he's 31, so he is going to regress. He's not going to get any better. As a matter of fact, he is going to get worse. And we don't have a ton behind him. John Bates is not really anything special. At 67 with normal development, he's not going to get particularly good. So not a ton at tight end. Our offensive line isn't bad. The only issue is that it's a little bit old, and it's getting older. Sam Cosmi is the exception to that rule, but he's not super high overall, 73 overall with normal development, not incredible. But he is 23, so he can certainly improve. He can certainly get better over time. Trey Turner's 29 at 77 overall. He is going to start to regress, even with star development. He's a solid guard now, but over time is going to probably regress significantly. Chase Roulier, probably in the same boat. Again, really good starting center right now at 80 overall. I mean, he's not incredible, but he's certainly could do the job, but will start to get worse over time. You can see the problem with this O-line, right? It's pretty good, just basically in their overall, but they're all, besides Sam Cosmi, they're all 29 and 30. So they're going to regress very soon, if not this season. Andrew Norwell, another example, very good left guard, but he's 30 years old, so he's going to start to regress soon. So we're going to have to make some type of decision on getting a new guard. And Charles Leno, same boat as everyone else, 30 years old, 80 overall, solid tackle right now, but not going to get any better. As a matter of fact, is probably going to get worse over time. So that's pretty much the offense. Who do I think factors into our future on this offense? Terry McLaurin and John Dotson, I absolutely think will both factor into our future. Dotson, I want to get in that number 2 spot, hopefully, this season and get him good reps. Antonio Gibson certainly could factor into our future. I'm not 100% sure, but certainly want to keep him around for now. Sam Cosmi is the only other one who might, but again, if I can get better there, I will. But he is young. He might get into the high 70s, low 80s at tackle, which is not the end of the world. All right, now we move on to what I would argue is probably the stronger of the units, and that is our defense. I just wanted to check actually real quick. I forgot to check. I think I put pre-existing injuries on. Let's see if we have anyone, if pre-existing injuries are on or not. It would appear they are not. Oh, no, they are. We just don't have anyone there. Okay, that's nice. So pre-existing injuries are on, but we don't have anyone on the injury report, so that's good to know. But going back to our defense, that is the strength of our team, specifically the defensive line. So we'll start there. D-tackle is probably the best position on this team. Jonathan Allen is so good. He's 27, superstar X Factor. He is going to, with that superstar X Factor, he should stay good for at least a decent amount more years. Just a really good all-around player. And then obviously next to him we have Deron Payne, who is also very good. He is an 87 playing up to an 89, but he's 25. So again, we'll continue to grow. Only star development, I could see Deron Payne having superstar development, but maybe that's somewhere he'll go up to, or he can have a breakout challenge, something like that. But anyway, Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen are the future at defensive tackle in my mind. It would be nice to get an additional D tackle, like that third D tackle, because we don't really have a particularly good one. I mean, Fedarian Mathis is a rookie, so he could get better, but I don't love 71 overall normal development as my third D tackle. So hopefully we can get some more depth there. On the edge, we are quite good. Chase Young, obviously, former number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State. He's only 23, has superstar development. He's an 86, playing up to an 87. Chase Young is, again, a centerpiece of this team going forward for sure. No question that he is going to play a factor as long as I keep him around. He's going to be a very good player and a very big staple of this team. As probably will Montez Sweat. He's rated a little bit low in this game, I would think, for his ability. He's an 81 overall. He is 25, though, so again, star development, 25 years old, will continue to progress. He's actually just an 80 overall. He's the morale or team performance or whatever that is bringing him up. So defensive line is by far the strongest group on this team, I would say. Corners are not bad either, but I really like this D-line. I think all 4 of these guys really will fit into the future, and the only thing I would think about is maybe depth at this point for right now on the defensive line, adding depth if we can over time. Let's go to the linebacking core because this is where it starts to drop off a little bit. This team plays in a 4-3 with 3 linebackers, which I think I'll probably stick in for the most part. I could always change that. Jamin Davis, I don't mind. He's 23, so he's young. Star development, he's already a 72 overall, almost a 73 as you see with XP. But he's not the best. He'll probably get better, but he'll never be a superstar middle linebacker, I wouldn't think. So somewhere we could improve, but I don't mind having him by any means. He's not a bad player per se. Left outside linebacker David Mayo, is not a particularly good player. 69 overall normal dev, 29 years old, so he's not getting better really. So that's a spot, again, outside linebacker you'll see is somewhere where we definitely need to get better. Right outside linebacker, we have Cole Holcomb, who is a decently high overall, but he is 26 with normal development. I don't mind him per se. He's perfectly serviceable there, but over time we will have to get better. That normal development means he'll probably start to regress in a couple of years. But again, not the end of the world having Cole Holcomb there. I would be much more concerned about Mayo versus Davis and Holcomb because they'll at least keep their overall, if not get a little better. Whereas Mayo is probably just getting worse at this point. So linebacker, somewhere where I'd like to improve. But as you can kind of see overall, this defense isn't too bad. It certainly could be a playoff defense if we had a decent offense. Cornerback, Kendall Fuller. I mix them up all the time. Kendall Fuller, Kyle Fuller, obviously with the Bears. Kendall Fuller is very, very good. 89 overall. He's 27. Has star development. Again, should stay very good for a couple of more years. Great cover player. And I think for at least the next couple of years, our number 1 corner, almost without a doubt. I guess if I bring in some big free agent, he could move to number 2, but he's a very, very good corner to have, and I like him a lot there. William Jackson is a solid player, but he's getting a little bit older. He's 29. 83 overall is good, and star development is also quite good, but he will start to regress soon, if not now, at 29 years old. That's just kind of how it works in Madden. So depth at cornerback is somewhere where I'd like to get a little bit better. Benjamin St-Juste isn't terrible. He's already a 70 overall, about to be a 71 overall if you see that XP bar. He's only 24, second year in the league with normal dev, so he's nothing special, but a decent depth corner. So we have our stud at cornerback in Kendall Fuller, who is, can easily be the number 1 corner on a solid defense. William Jackson is good, and he'll be fine for this year, but going into the future, depth at cornerback is certainly something we need to address. And last but not least, the safeties. Bobby McCain at free safety is a little bit older. Again, somewhere I think we could improve. McCain's 29. 78 overall is not bad, certainly. But again, at 29 with normal dev, you expect him to start to regress soon. And he probably will not be around as our starting free safety very long. That's somewhere where I'm for sure going to look to get better. McCain, obviously, and we don't have much behind him. 66 overall is the next highest. McCain, again, another guy who will be fine for this year, but going into the future, definitely want to get better. And then strong safety, we're in a little bit better spot. Cam Curl, I like him quite a bit. Star development, he's 23, already at a 79 overall, should get better. He certainly can be our strong safety long term. I don't see any issue with that. Again, he'll continue to get better, progress certainly into the mid 80s, you would think, if not high 80s, at only 23 years old with that star development. So Cam Curl at strong safety should be perfectly fine. Not too concerned about him there. Specialists I will deal with later once we start getting into gameplay. Special teams, we have Tress Way and Joey Sly. They're fine for what they do. So Cameron Cheeseman, I love that name. Long snapper. But yeah, so special teams again, we'll worry about that when we get close to the season. But that's generally the idea behind this roster. So as you can see, a lot of our attention needs to probably go onto this offense. I wanted to look real quick at our staff. We don't have any staff points, but I wanted to know if we have anything on the talent tree. We get eye for talent to start just with our head coach. We already have X factors on for our offense, and we have a little bit of the practice makes perfect tree. Defense, we actually have a decently far along defensive coordinator. Again, I don't spend a ton on this usually. I usually spend more on player personnel and head coach. Player personnel, obviously not there at all. The main thing I would like to get with head coach is to get this. This is what I think is most important early on, is the after-school tutoring. It basically allows you to add additional focus players, which can be really important when you're trying to build XP for a team. Basically, that's probably where I'll go first. Afterwards, I might go over towards this player growth stuff. Fountain of Youth can be nice. We've Seen Enough can be nice. And then player personnel has some really good things, basically. Unlocker can be really, really helpful, especially later on when you have really good players who you are trying to re-sign. But yeah, besides that, we do have 74 out of 75 players on roster. So I think for the moment, I'm probably just going to leave it there. What we'll do in the next episode, we have 3 preseason games. We will play the moments of each preseason game and check out the stats, see who's performing well, see if any of the guys who, fringe guys make the team, and then we'll make all of our cuts that we need to make and get everything set up for the regular season. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if there's anything I missed or anything you want to see with this Commanders team. And yeah, I will see you guys for episode number 2. Take care.